gentlemen, welcome to the Flatout Racing Network's coverage of the season finale of Season 2 of the All-Star Racing Superspeedway Series. We've had the privilege to cover the second half of the season down towards championship night, and at the end of this 66-lapper this evening at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway, we will be crowning ourselves the second ever champion of the Superspeedway Series here at ASR. Two drivers in the hunt, only 4 points separating in a pretty big field where every point is going to matter. I'm Seth Cole alongside of Kyle Matthews, and Kyle, coming into tonight with only two drivers in the field fighting for the championship, there are a lot of variables, a lot of X factors out there in the form of all those other race cars that their goal basically tonight is just end out the season with a checkered flag.
Yeah, at a super speedway, like you said, only 4 points separating the two championship contenders. We know how unpredictable it is on these super speedways, and you throw in a pretty big field on top of that. Oh boy, it's I have a feeling this is going to come down to the wire.
It's going to be very interesting to see what kind of strategy our two championship hopefuls are going to adapt here. Do you go big picture racing and go for points? Do you maybe just try and go up to the front to stay at the front? We'll have to see here out of the gate which strategy they adopt. Those two drivers that we're going to be focusing a lot on tonight. The number 6 of Brian Rawson, a former winner this season. He currently has, for the most part, been leading the point stands. He and Chuck Taylor have kind of been flip-flopping the points lead back and forth these last couple of weeks, but he comes in currently on the defensive side, 4 points in hand over Taylor, who is in the number 18, another driver who has gone to victory lane this season. These two have not only been able to find victory lane, but they've been able to have consistent runs in those weeks that they weren't parked in victory circle. That is why they are in the situation they are currently in. Third on down the standings, 30-plus points back mathematically, cannot make up enough points to be in the title hunt. So for all those other drivers, they may have a thought process in the case of Brian Wolf, Brad Otto, Perry Bone, maybe trying to see if they can finish out the season third in the point stands, the highest they mathematically can get to, but they will not be able to fight for the title. And then there's a bunch of drivers in the field here that have been running on a part-time basis, and as I said, they're just looking to end out the season with a checkered flag here at the conclusion of Season 2. These drivers are going to have a little bit of extra time here in happy hour as qualifying is currently winding down to be able to practice pit road, find out where their pit stalls and everything, but it also gives us the opportunity to be able to bring in the admin of this series. Going to give him an opportunity here to be able to address some stuff that's been going on here, obviously, in this season and what's going to be going on in the future in preparation for tonight's championship race. So we're going to see if we can dial up a guy that we'll be seeing piloting the number 29 here this evening. That would be Brian Wolf.
User was moved to your channel.
Hey, Brian's the guys up here in the FRM booth. Got us?
I do. Thank you. 10-4.
Hey, it's championship night. It's got that big fight feel, 4-point separation. You got to be pretty thrilled with the racing we've seen here this season, and it's building up to be quite a finale this evening.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. That's why I wanted to thank you, first of all, for having me up in here tonight, being the last race, and you're absolutely right. This it came down, coming into last week, myself and Dave Chin kind of were in the hunt a little bit better than we are this week because he didn't show up. He was under the weather, and I just had a horrible race finish last. But it come down to these two, and there's only a 4-point difference. So, I mean, it's going to be exciting to watch. It's going to, the 6 and the 18, they're both looking for friends tonight for sure.
Yeah, we talked about, obviously, with the big field here this evening, there's going to be a lot of X factors. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of strategy they have this evening. Do they big picture race, or do they maybe just try to get to the front, stay at the front? It'll be interesting to kind of watch that. What about for like a driver in your situation? Third in the point stands. Unfortunately, you're not mathematically eligible for the championship, but what does that do for the mentality of you being high in the point standing still to close out the season?
I'm just going to go for it. You know what I mean? It's, race wins are nice. And, like you said, I'm kind of out of it as far as the point standings. But, to get a win is pretty cool, too. Or, top 5. Or if I can, I don't know which one I would pick to help here. That's why I was, I'm kind of divided on I'm more excited for these two races for the championship than I am really my race, but it's going to be good. And like you said, I'm just thrilled with the way this whole series has turned out with the scoring format that we have. And, I haven't had one, every response I've had to this has been positive. The guys are seeming to like this, our scoring format and that. And, so this being the last race of season 2, I just wanted to get in here. I'm not going to take up too much of your time, but I got a bunch of people I want to thank for this because it's not just me. It's first of all, you guys for picking up the second half of the season, and Blaine Donlin with Tarnation TV having used these top tier broadcasting thing has really it's been exciting. It's just been a blast, man. So we thank you for that. You guys make it so you add an element to our hobby that's just it's incredible. Future projects, or I want to thank obviously the league, ASR, and Bryant Motorsports, our sponsor, along with Dave Chin, and the guys who run things behind the scenes. Nelson Rodriguez has been really supportive of this series, and he does all the website stuff and all that stuff. The league doesn't exist without these guys. Ken Roberts, my head admin here for this series, he's been just been terrific. We went over tonight's race. I'm kind of going off my notes here, so I apologize for that. But good luck to these two. It's going to be a barn burner, man. It's going to be a hoot watching to see who goes with who, and to watch that play out, man. It's exciting. And that kind of segues me into our third season. We're going to be off next week, but we're going to go right into season 3. We've got the green light on funding for broadcasting and, our server and everything that goes into that. So, again, we thank Bryant Motorsports and Dave Chin for that. Season 3 is going to be a little bit different. We're going to lotto queue every week, and we're going to reduce the races down to 57 laps. I think that's 25% on the thing with a 2 times queue. So we're hoping to bring these points even closer together for season 3. So that's going to be exciting. And we're doing a whole football theme too. So I want to tell these guys to make sure you bring out your NFL and college football teams. It's going to be fun.
Well, there you go. A lot of cool changes coming up there for this third season, and man, I'll tell you what, tonight may be a pretty nice precursor into what we can expect. We've seen some incredible racing here. Again, appreciate you bringing FRN on for the second half of this season. We've been treated to some really thrilling racing and looking forward to capping it off here tonight. Wish you the best of luck here tonight as well. Maybe close out the season with a victory here in preparation for season 3.
Gosh, I really appreciate coming from you, man. I know last week you mentioned something that I would need that Allstate insurance for my car after
you're well covered, my man.
After 5 laps, it didn't. Insurance I think was out of the question, but I think they totaled it. But I appreciate you guys, man. It's just been a blast, and I'm gonna go up here and give a little speech to these guys and thank all these guys too. I especially want to on air thank all these drivers for showing up. We got a good crowd again tonight. I think we got 19 or 20. So, man, it's been a success. And, I've surrounded myself gratefully with the best people, man. And it's all them making this happen, man. It's just been fun. And that's number one.
Absolutely. Well, Brian, appreciate you taking the time to talk with us here. Maybe it's not the last time we're talking to you here this evening. Maybe we get to talk to you post-race. Maybe have this 29 parked in Victory Lane. But, man, best of luck here in tonight's season finale.
Thank you, guys, man. Have fun tonight.
Absolutely. Brian Wolf.
User was
and that
moved
number
out of your channel.
29, as mentioned, going to be third in the standings coming into tonight. And just to kind of play off of what he was saying, leads me into announcing for season 3, as he mentioned. They will be off this coming Sunday night, but then they will resume season 3 on November the 9th. That will be with our friends over at Tarnation TV. Blaine Donlin, Rod Weston going to have the call there. Now, FRN is actually going to have a date for a broadcast in Season 3. We will be bringing you coverage of race number 2 on November the 16th, and then the rest of the season will be played out over at Tarnation TV. So in about 3 weeks' time, you can come back here on Sunday night and see us cover one of the races here in the upcoming 3rd season of the ASR Super Speedway Series. One of the biggest things that's really stood out to me here, Kyle, and I think Brian kind of touched on it too, has been the parity in this series. Rawson and Taylor coming into tonight, they've each picked up a victory. Dennis McCarthy, Greg Palmer, DC88. Last week we saw Jessica Lorley pick up a victory. I mean, there has not yet been a multi-win driver here in Season 2, and I don't think there was a multi-win driver. Well, no, I think there actually was in Rodney Sullins back in Season 1, but there's been an awful lot of parity of different drivers finishing up at the front of the field.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, seeing this entire season have not had one repeat winner. Just goes to show you how competitive it is in this series, and how super speedway racing plays out as well.
So about 2 minutes here before these drivers will end up going to race and gritting up for tonight's event. We ended up seeing this past Thursday night in the Talladega Challenge, it seems like when we start to get towards the playoffs or towards the second half of the season, it's not as much about what takes place on the racetrack as much as what takes place on pit road. If you're one of the 2 championship hopefuls coming into tonight, how much emphasis are you putting into testing, getting on and off pit road here during this happy hour session?
Oh, I would be doing that nonstop. I mean, we've seen in other series, pit stops can make or break somebody's race. In this case, it could make or break a championship for somebody. So I'm sure that is a big concern for both of these guys that are contending for the championship tonight.
How about in terms, I mean, Brian mentioned about finding friends, finding drafting partners. How much of a diplomat are these 2 drivers tonight, trying to find those that will work with them, help to get them to the front, or at the very least, get them ahead of their fellow championship competitor?
I'm sure most of the people in the field here tonight, they really don't want to be a factor in the championship. They're just out there looking after themselves, trying to win a race, trying to, if they're full time, trying to move up in the standings if they can. I mean, I'm sure there are some friendships in this series, so you may see that, play out. But I think for the most part, everybody's just worried about themselves, and they really don't want to be a factor in the championship or be a deciding factor.
Well, it will be 66 laps here tonight. First, or it'll be the last time, as you heard there from Brian, that we will run a 66-lap race. They'll be moving to a 57-lap distance for Season 3. So, as we normally know, with the 66 laps, we're normally looking at about a 3-stop race, with the fuel window being about 18 to 19 laps. We will see just how much of a factor pit road will come into play here tonight. We are nearing zeros on the clock here for happy hour. See, a few drivers have been practicing pit stops, a couple of packs out there practicing drafting, but now it's time to take that practice, put it into action. 2 drivers looking to claim the 2nd ever championship here in the ASR Super Speedway Series. It will be interesting to see where those 2 qualified here as well, because Brian Rawson, this seems to be one of the few series where he actually will start up towards the front. He will actually put down a qualifying lap. Normally, on Thursday nights, we see him start at the back. On the flip side, Chuck Taylor, you go back to last week, he kind of rode at the tail end of the lead pack for most of that race, and then found himself up inside of the top 3 in the closing stages to give him that shot here, put him within striking distance to take the overall title. So we'll see right off the bat, when they roll off the grid, what type of strategy these 2 drivers adapted in terms of good or maybe bad starting track position. But it is a super speedway. It's not about where you start, it's about where you finish.
Yeah, but I would be surprised if either one of these guys didn't try to qualify, didn't try to get the pole if they can, have a great chance to lead a lap, get a bonus point, because as we said, every point is going to matter here tonight for those 2.
Not only that, but get good pit selection as well. Get one of those pit stalls up towards the exit of pit road, especially if we have pit stops under caution, be able to maybe gain some track position in that regard.
To your cars.
So drivers are going to get themselves lined up here on the back straightaway for this half pace lap. Looks like Gary Heiser is going to line up on the pole position in that legendary number 3 Intimidator throwback, and he'll have Ulysses Sandoval to his outside. Waiting to see who grids up here alongside of Robert Spring. He'll be on the outside of row number 2 in that Scooby-Doo number 74. It's spooky season, so nice to see that livery
Very
there.
fitting.
Yeah, absolutely. Bob Sire is going to actually be to his inside there, rolling off third. Dennis McCarthy and DC88, they're going to roll off in row number 3. There is Chuck Taylor, one of the 2 drivers fighting for the championship here tonight. He will be 7th off the grid alongside of Perry Bone. Then it'll be Jessica Lorley, last week's winner, going to be alongside of the 72.
Her final race here in ASR.
That's correct. Yep. Jessica Lorley looking to end out the season with back-to-back victories, as you said. Could be her last start here in this series. And ASR Dinger will lap to her outside, completing the top 10. Mark Paglia will share the 6th row with Jeffrey Elliott. And that's going to be Brad Otto and Rod Weston. Brian Wolf, we just talked with him not too long ago. He's going to be back here with Ken Roberts in the 55. Ed Finley and John Godfrey going to be the last row of double file.
Man,
and
wow.
shotgun on the field, the caboose on the train, the points leader, Brian Rawson.
So he took the complete opposite strategy that I thought he was going to take there. Let's see how this plays out here, because we see the 18 car starting way up ahead of him there. But
So trying to just quickly do the calculations in my head. As soon as we take the green flag, the 18 will be up on the 6 by 7 points. But a lot can happen between now and the checkered flag. 2 drivers hunting for the title. The rest of the field looking to close out the season with either their first or maybe second checkered flag of season 2. Green flag ways, we're underway here tonight at Burt Screwdriver's Raceway in the season 2 finale.
good start there for the 3 car. He's going to clear him into one of the backstretch here.
27 of Bob Sire also got a good launch, was able to follow Gary Heiser through. Now he'll swap from the top to the bottom in front of the 18 of Chuck Taylor. Oh, no!
Ulysses.
And we got a couple up and over. One of them is the 74 of Robert Spring, the 024 of Dennis McCarthy as well. And I thought for a moment, I saw red and white, that is DC88. I thought for a moment that might have been Brian Rawson.
Being told they might restart this thing.
So
Let's see what happens here.
That. They had not yet completed the first lap. McCarthy, who came into tonight 8th in the standings, former winner on the season.
They will restart this thing.
They will, okay. So that gives a second chance there to the 024 and the 74. To be honest, where that occurred and in the corner, I'm surprised there actually weren't more drivers in that. I think there were only maybe 4 or 5 drivers that were involved in that wreck. I was expecting to see almost the majority of the field.
Yeah, that could have been a lot bigger than what it was there, but thankfully for those 4 that were involved, we're going to restart this thing. Everybody gets a mulligan, it looks like.
So there you go. We'll get them racked back up here. So while we wait for them to all grid back up, get ready to take the green flag for the second time tonight, I guess we could say. Let's give you a look at what's going to be coming up here next week on the Flatout Racing Network. And pretty much it looks like on Wednesday night and Thursday night is when you're going to be seeing broadcasts during the middle of the week. Wednesday night, we're going to have Aero 88 cars, just like you see here this evening, but they are going to be in the Rolling Thunder Gaming Aero 88 series. They'll be at American Speedway, which I've been told is kind of like a super speedway, but there is some lifting involved. It'll be interesting to see if Grant Wesley can go a perfect 5 for 5 during the month of October. He's currently won 4 in a row over in that series. Thursday nights, we bring you the regular season finale. The playoffs will be determined in the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series. And then on Saturday night,
we're gonna have a full booth here for that race.
yes, we are. And Saturday night, we're back with the Shake and Bake Series for Talladega Nights at Talladega Nights Super Speedway. That's all going to be coming up this week on FRN.
It's being told the 024 might not return to the race. He had something come up he needs to take care of, so we'll see what happens.
The one thing that I would hate about a race restart, if I'm the race leader, Gary Heiser, is he got such a good launch the first time. Now you got to do something different to try and get a launch away from the 96, because if you do the exact same thing, they may have a plan.
Well, whoever that was right behind Ulysses did not get a good start. That really hurt that outside line, so the 3 gets a good jump once again.
It was Robert Spring in the 74, and that almost had the look of maybe losing a gear. Like, he lost a lot of speed before they got to turn 1. Bob Sire gonna waste no time. He goes to the inside. Chuck Taylor right there with him. This is a far cry from what Chuck Taylor did last week, as he kind of rode, as I mentioned, at the back of the lead pack for most of the race. He even told us, I was just riding, waiting to see what would happen. Tonight, seems like it's full court press for the driver of that Miller Lite Genuine Draft, number 18.
See him up front right here trying to get to the lead. Second car on the inside line. The 3 car led the first lap.
Three wide, middle of the pack there. Believe that's Brad Otto in the 47, one of the Wolfpack racing machines.
Comes Ulysses Sandoval, going to take the lead, help from Jessica Loreley. We saw these two work well together here last week in the Shake and Bake series, I should say.
Looks like Sandoval's going to lead this lap as Bob Sire going to jump up to the middle line. Robert Spring looks like he's gotten that car back up to full power after issues on the start there. He's got DC-88 right there behind him. Perry Ball, but there's contact. Whoa. Gary Heiser up the track, and now DC-88, and up and over goes Dinger. Robert Spring up and over as well.
A couple of the same drivers that were involved in that wreck when the initial start before they restarted this thing, running into the same luck.
And it looks like it's going to be a tough end of the night for that Dale Jr. throwback of DC-88. Looks like he is done for the race already. A driver that came into this race 9th in the point standings, a former winner this season, is going to end out season 2 with a DNF. Field was frozen. They raced back with care, keeping their positions. Ulysses Sandoval going to bring us back here out of turn 2 and pick up that pace car on the back straightaway. Let's go back and take a look what happened. From initial look, Robert Spring was leading that third line, and I think someone in the middle line may have pushed up into them. Watch the 3 of Gary Heiser in the middle. Oh, yeah. Just kind of ran him out of room. See the 88 go up and over. 74 was up on his roof, as was the 72. Looks like both Dinger and Robert Spring gonna try and continue on, but don't think you're necessarily gonna get away with it from a wreck like this with minimal damage.
Just a little bit of contact there with the 3 car. That's all it took.
Saw Rod Weston able to get through, and then John Godfrey almost came to a complete stop waiting for everything to settle out in front of him, but we had 3 cars up and over. Let's go on board with the 31 car.
What a job there.
You can see with that onboard, we saw the 3 of Gary Heiser push up the track. When he got into Robert Spring, I believe the 88 then was turning down to avoid the 74 going up towards the outside wall. He then made contact with the driver to his inside, ended up causing a chain reaction wreck that we saw involved at least 3 drivers.
They just had pit stops, and a big names stayed out to lead a lap.
Oh boy. So the strategy's already happening, right? The points games are already beginning.
So that is, what, 1 bonus point for leading a lap?
That would be a bonus point for leading a lap, and it kind of makes me wonder if you might have hit the nail on the head earlier in the fact of maybe the urgency to get up here and get that bonus point. We saw Chuck Taylor qualify in this race. He rolled off the grid from 5th position. We saw him and Bob Sire working together to try to get up to the front. I think this is, I wasn't able to get up there, lead a lap under green. I'm going to take the opportunity to get the lap led here under caution.
Yeah, they pay out the bonus point under caution just as they would under green, so.
So first official caution of the night. We're not going to count the one that led to our race restart. And 2 drivers out of the race. We documented ASR DC 88, also ASR Dinger out of the race as well. Looks like DC 88 is going to get credited for 17th. Dinger will get credited for 18th place. That's going to leave us with 16 drivers remaining, all 16 on the lead lap. Going to be big question marks, obviously, around that 74 of Robert Spring. How up to speed he's going to be, if he'll be able to stay up with the pack. And speaking of the pack, got the Wolf Pack up here first and second. Brad Otto in the 47 and Ed Finley in the 80. See if they decide to stay out here the entirety of this run and restart as the top 2 positions, or if they come to pit road this next time by, they've still yet to make a pit stop. Looks like Ken Roberts, who has made a pit stop, is 3rd. So if the 2 in front of him pit, he would cycle as the leader. John Godfrey and Mark Paglia would be the top 3. Then Ulysses Sandoval, Jessica Loralee, who they were on pit road the first time pit lane was open. They, along with everybody else behind them, came back down pit road and topped off the fuel tank. So a lot of drivers may be making some early preparations in case this thing goes green to maybe try and get inside of a fuel window to make it on those 3 more stops.
Yeah, that's always going through everybody's head. We've seen fuel mileage come into play before, so got to be prepared for anything here in this kind of racing.
Well, in a 66 lap race and a 2.66 mile speedway like Burnt Screwdriver's Raceway, when you take the green flag, if you calculate in those 3 pit stops, you're about 6 to 7 laps short. We're going to be going back green here. Looks like more than likely at the completion of lap 7, so that'd be right on the mark to make it on those 3 remaining pit stops. And interestingly enough, we do see some drivers back here peeling off. Paglia, Sandoval, Ross, and Taylor's coming back down, but
Both championship contenders.
But both these drivers up here, they're going to stay out. So if this thing goes green flag for a good portion of time, they're going to have to pit 5 to 7 laps sooner than everybody else. It is a gamble, but I mean, let's consider what we said at the beginning of the night. Only 2 drivers are battling for the championship. Everybody else, they're battling for a race victory. So with no points carrying over to next week, you can have a little bit of flexibility to go outside the box and strategy. It's kind of one of those throw it against the wall, see if it sticks kind of things.
Yeah, it's like good news, bad news when you're not in contention for the championship. You know, the bad news, obviously, you're not in contention for the championship. Good news, you have nothing to worry about. Absolutely nothing to lose. So yeah,
Exactly.
why not try, some sort of crazy strategy, see if it pays off.
So Brad Otto is going to be the one to put us back under the green. See the lights out atop the pace car here. Go back racing on lap 8 of 66. He will have Ed Finley to his outside. Ken Roberts, John Godfrey can make up row number 2. Jessica Lorley, Bob Sire, row 3. Then Jeffrey Elliott, Perry Bone, Robert Spring, and Brian Wolf are slated to complete the top 10. Actually, scoring did not update. So it looks like it is actually Robert Spring in 9th and Brian Wolf in 10th. We'll have to see about that 74 car, that purple and orange machine back there, see if he is up to speed. Was involved in this first yellow flag, was upside down, barrel rolling. The other 2 drivers involved have retired from the race, but he's going to try to soldier on. So we'll get ready to go back green. Our 2 championship drivers going to restart in 14th and 15th respectively. Taylor over Brian Rawson. Remember, Taylor has that lap-led bonus point if we get into a tie scenario at the close of this race. Green flag back in the air. Good launch for both the Wolfpack cars here on the front row. The problem for Ed Finley is it's a bit of a ways back there to drafting help from John Godfrey. They're pretty well lined up on the bottom.
Yeah, looked like somebody didn't get going or something again on that outside line, because not a lot of organization up there to begin with, but now they're starting to get together.
Yeah.
The first 4 cars or so.
Look at Brian Rawson already up here. He was back towards the tail end of the field on that restart, and he got by, it's like about 5 or 6 cars.
Yeah, I saw him blow right on by somebody there, so I don't know who it was that didn't get going, but...
Yeah, one of those drivers that didn't get going, to your point, was Ulysses Sandoval. In the 96, he fell a long ways back. Same for Mark Paglia. I don't know if they were behind the driver that didn't get going or if one of them were the driver that didn't get going, but whatever the case, they're now trying to draft back up here to this lead pack. Chuck Taylor also back there trying to stay in the draft and trying to keep up here with the 6 of Brian Rawson. As we saw Robert Spring on the back straightaway at the apron, and we're going to have ourselves another yellow flag, I'm pretty sure here.
The 2 team cars, the Wolfpack.
Mark Paglia and Brian Wolf also involved in this. There were some pretty hard licks taken right there. The 47 went straight down towards the inside wall, and I think he made the heaviest contact of any of them.
See a lot of damage on the back end of that car.
Ken Roberts going to lead them back here to the second caution of the night. Take a look and see what happened. You mentioned those 2 team cars, the drivers that we saw restart this race on the front row, and they were running together up there on the top side. We'll see if we can figure out exactly what happened to them. Ooh, off a turn
Contact
2.
with...
It's the 27, Bob Sire. Big hit for Brad Otto, but a wild ride there for the 80 of Ed Finley as well. Get an aerial shot of it here. Watch the 27 on the inside line as they come off a 2.
Hmm.
Nowhere for
just
Brian
kinda-
Wolf to go. Ooh, that was a hard hit for him, too. Oh, and then Paglia top of the screen.
Can't tell if the 27 came up or just...
This is on board with Brian Wolf. To your point, 27 might have been following the 6 in front of him as they all kind of started migrating up to that middle line. But let's see what the 29's on board will show us here.
Yeah, I think he came up just a little bit there. I was told that the 27 claimed that one, so...
Pretty big contact there with the right side of Brian Wolf's machine. Mentioned coming into this race, third in points. Mathematically cannot win the championship, but trying to at least finish out the season on the podium in the overall standings. This is another on board with Mark Paglia, who also took a big hit.
Yeah, this one's gonna hurt.
wreck. Oh. You know if the camera goes through the blue inside wall, then it's a big hit.
Oh, yeah.
And he had almost gotten through that too, just barely clipped the back end of the 80, and it actually lifted his left front off the ground. So at that point, he's no longer in control. Whatever direction the car is going is the direction it's going to spin. Unfortunately for him, it was down to the inside barrier.
It's like Jeffrey Elliott may have stayed out under the caution, or...
Looks like it, yes.
Got our points leader right behind him.
And I believe Brian has also stayed out. May see them pit this time by. I'm almost wondering if Brian stayed out to get a lap lead to counter the 18's lap lead. And Jeffrey Elliott kind of foiled those plans.
That's all the looks of it right now.
So at this point in time, all drivers involved in that incident on the back straightaway are still running. We don't have anybody out of the race at this point in time, and here comes Jeffrey. Is Brian gonna fake? Yes, he is. Don't think we're gonna get the lights out this time by. I think we're gonna have another lap of caution, so he will lead this lap and then be able to pit the next time by if he so chooses. Rod Weston also gonna stay out behind him in that mellow yellow Chevrolet. Everybody else is on the pit lane. Well, as soon as I say that, Ken Roberts is actually there as well. I didn't see these other drivers here. Looks like Perry Bond, Chuck Taylor, John Godfrey, and Mark Paglia.
Well, we're back at a clean slate in terms of bonus points here for
Yep.
the two contenders.
The only other bonus point that's up for grabs now, should the 6 or the 18 get it, would be to lead the most laps here tonight. Everything else comes down to positioning. Chuck Taylor needs to finish 5 positions ahead of Brian Rawson to win the title. Brian Rawson needs to finish no worse than 3 positions behind the 18. If he finishes ahead of him tonight, it's a done deal. Brian Rawson would be the Season 2 champion. So we still got the lights here on the pace car. Pit road will be open at least one more time before we get the indication of going back green. So we're going to step aside for an FRN race break, and we'll be back here to continue the action in tonight's season finale for Season 2 of the ASR Super Speedway Series right after this. Perry Bone going to get us back under the green flag as he will become the, looks like, 7th different leader on the night. John Godfrey going to share the front row with him. And Brad Otto, Jessica Lorley, and Ed Finley going to complete the top 5 as lap 13 is completed. Lap 14 goes up on the board. Second restart of the night here at BSR.
Makes you wonder if that 47 car is fully up to speed after that wreck. His teammates right behind him as well.
It will be interesting to see. You can still visibly see the pushed in back bumper on Brad Otto's car. Sometimes back end damage isn't as much of a detriment at a super speedway, provided you have somebody to help push you. The 80, however, we saw him kind of go up and over. I'm a little surprised that he's still up here in this pack.
Same with the 28 car. Mark Paglio saw that hard hit he took in that wreck, and that was on the front end of his car.
Yep, he and Brian Wolf, all 4 of the drivers that were involved in that wreck, all lined up on the inside line right there, nose to tail. Apparently, it looks like still up to speed, still able to stay in this lead group as they are getting really squirrely back here. We've worked 2 cautions so far tonight. Glad to report that neither of our championship competitors have been involved in either wreck, but Chuck Taylor had a very interesting moment right there in the middle, 3 wide, as now he'll get himself into this single file train.
Look at the car leading that outside line right. Our points leader, Brian Rawson, has help from the 6. Or has help from the 55 of Ken Roberts. Rawson's in the 6. Ulysses Sandoval right there with him as well.
Yeah, we talked about the scenario coming in tonight. Brian Rawson 4 points over Chuck Taylor. Ooh, he's having some connection problems there. That is the last thing you want to have. Something like that out of your control on a championship night.
You see him warping like that. That is a...
It's like he's trying to stay up there against the wall. Surprisingly, doesn't look like he's lost that much time, and it's settled out, and he's going to be able to stay in this lead pack. That is a fortunate break for Brian.
He was told to drop back, but he's able to regain control of his connection right there. He might be okay.
Yeah, he was up there against that outside wall, hoping it would settle out. Saw Ken Roberts kind of back out of the throttle, hoping he would reappear so he could keep him in the draft, and that all seemed to go according to plan. Rawson's going to lose a few spots as a result, but it could have been a lot worse.
We're 3 wide for the race lead here. And there's our other championship contender, Chuck Taylor, trying to push the 60 on by for the lead.
Perry Bone got his left sides down on the apron coming off of 2. That's going to scrub off a lot of straight line speed here down the backstretch. You can see them losing ground. John Godfrey goes to the point. Jessica Lorley going to cross down to the inside now in front of the 60. And that third line being led by Jeffrey Elliott trying to charge back up, make it 3 wide for the lead once again.
Both our championship contenders are right in the thick of this thing.
I was going to ask you, you know, based off of where these 2 are positioned coming into tonight, would you rather be in the position of Brian Rawson playing defense against the 18, or would you rather be the 18 going on full offense against the 6?
I think I'd rather be in the points lead, but really as close as it is, I would go in here thinking, feeling like we're tied, honestly. If, only 4 points separate the 2 of them. So I would just be keeping an eye on the other contender if I was one of them.
Saw these 2 drivers nose to tail last week, side by side here tonight. Jeffrey Elliott, multiple laps down last week, played a big part into Jessica Lorley going to victory lane, but they are door to door, wheel to wheel, leading their respective lines here through the tri-oval. Coming back to the start finish line, Elliott's got Brian Rawson for drafting help. Lorley's got Perry Bone on the inside. And the longer this run's going on, we're now starting to see the drivers with the damage sustained from the last wreck beginning to fade back. Ed Finley has lost touch with the lead group, and it looks like Brad Otto might be in danger of doing the same. Paglia and Brian Wolf appear like they are able to stay up here with this lead pack. Don't necessarily need the help of a pusher behind them, as it looked like the connection problems may have been back for the 6 of Brian Rawson.
It disappeared again. Yeah, he's still having...
He's going to get up and out of the way there. Try to drop to the back. Wolf, for a moment there, he was outside of the track. The warp was so bad. I mean, there's grass out there. If anything, that'll cool your tires down for a second.
It'll cool your tires down, but there is very little to no grip in the grass.
It's got to be such a tough situation. It's the first time we've seen Brian Rawson have connection problems, and he's probably thinking, why tonight of all nights?
It's never easy trying to win a championship, and this just makes it even more difficult, but maybe it's stabilized for the time being.
As long as he can stay up here in the lead pack, he's got himself a fighting chance. He's got to make sure he finishes no worse than 3 positions behind Chuck Taylor. Right now, just eyeballing it, I would say about 6, maybe 7 spots between the 18 and the 6, as Taylor's got himself solidly up in a podium position, 3rd place, right behind Lauralee and Bond.
Yeah, he's probably feeling pretty good seeing that 6 car having the connection issues. I mean, I'm sure he's not, you never want to, hope for misfortune from somebody that you're competing with for a championship, but, seeing that 6 car have the connection issues like that, it's got to make him feel a little bit more comfortable for the time being.
ASR runs on Wednesday nights a Gen 6 BR15 Cup Series. They're currently in the middle of their playoffs, the round of 8. Chuck Taylor moving on to the Final 4, along with Dennis Chambers. 2 spots still to be determined, but might not be the only championship that Chuck Taylor is battling for here at ASR. Now there's an outside line beginning to form. Right now it's only a tandem, but they are picking up some more numbers there. It was Jeffrey Elliott and Ken Roberts. They've now picked up the aid of Bob Sire. Brian Rawson up there with the connection settling out again. Mark Paglia appears to also be up in that outside line, as well as Rod Weston in the 31.
That's the biggest surprise for me right there. Is the 28 of Mark Paglia still being able to run in this lead draft after that hard hit he took in that wreck. Thought he'd be off the pace with the other cars, but doing a good job of staying up there.
Leader's going to be catching some traffic here in a moment. Drivers that are off the pace, lost the draft running single car laps. That's Robert Spring in the 74. He was involved in the first wreck this evening. Has been dealing with a damaged race car ever since. Field's going to thunder by him as they make their way through the tri-oval. Not that much farther ahead is the 80 of Ed Finley, but he's also running by himself.
Say that 80 car is not too far up ahead here either, so.
About 172 top speed going into 3, while the field is hitting upwards of 195.
And the 6 car again having those connection issues.
See him moving way up the racetrack there. Mark Paglia was trying to figure out where he was going to reappear. And this time, I'm not sure if the 6 is going to be able to stay up in the lead pack. Like he's reappeared. Maybe just the timing of them catching the 80 is going to be enough draft for him to be able to stay in touch with the 711. I believe I just saw the 20 of Mark Paglia throw out the parachute, drop to the back to give him some aid as well. And that's the thing too, right? You know, obviously all the other drivers know the situation here tonight. They know the two drivers battling for the championship, and I think that, you know, you were talking about for Chuck Taylor, you want to win the championship, but you want to win it on a level playing field. I think that's what all the other drivers are thinking too. They're trying to do everything they can. They know the situation for Ross, and they're trying to at least keep him up here in the conversation, up in the lead pack.
Oh yeah, that's difficult to do. By the way, by the way he's having those issues right there. They're trying to keep him up there, but they're trying to stay away from him at the same time because they don't want to cause a crash either. So it's very difficult for everybody that's around that space right now.
Rod Weston! Caution's going to come out as the 31 was turned off the nose of somebody back there. I couldn't tell if it was the 29 or the 7-11. But that's going to bring out the caution for the third time here tonight. And maybe a blessing in disguise for Brian Rawson to maybe under this caution period figure out whatever it might be that's causing the connection issues for the second half of this race. This caution is also going to save Brad Otto from going a lap down, and with two lucky dogs under this caution, Ed Finley and Robert Spring, who we saw each lose a lap under this green flag run, they will get those laps back and be back on the lead lap with the rest of the field.
That was a timely caution for a couple guys out here, not for the 31.
See what happened with him. I didn't see who it was that made the contact with him, but I saw him spin around. Oh.
Is that a netcode issue?
Certainly looked like it. There definitely appeared to be space between the 29 and the 31. We'll get another look at it here. I thought maybe there might have been a late bump into the corner, but there was space at that point. Watch this from the aerial shot. Yeah, it definitely looks like some netcode there. There's visible space between the right rear of Weston and the left front, or the right front I should say, of Brian Wolf, and very fortunate there for the 31 of Rod Weston, because the instinct, rightfully so, when you get spun, is to get on the brakes, but his car was at about a 90-degree angle on the banking, and watch at the tail end of this spin, he almost experienced what we call grip flip. Watches those left side tires come up off the ground, and fortunately it settled back down, because that could have had roof damage written all over it if it had counterweighted just a little bit more.
Boy, you got awfully lucky right there. That looked like a car on pit road, getting jacked up during a pit stop.
I don't think the crew's going to come all the way out there to the middle of 3 and 4 to service
No.
him. They have serviced him, though, as he was able to bring his car down to the attention of his crew. They've sent him back out and away. Most of the field came down pit road this first lap of caution. Looks like a few drivers going to stay out here, and we'll pit the second time by. Just trying to do a little bit of quick math here. We would have been about halfway through a second run, calculating going green from the start to this point. I think we're still going to have to make 2 more trips to pit road before the conclusion. Actually, no. My math is checking out correctly. We actually are right on the number to make it a 1 more pit stop if they all pit at the 1 to green here.
See Brian Rawson running in third right now. I'm told that he said that he's been having internet issues the last couple of days. I mean, man, what a time to be having those issues.
Well, the fortunate thing for him so far is he hasn't fallen out of the server. Granted, he's had the warping issues here on the racetrack, but he's been able to, for the most part, stay up in the lead pack. If he fell out of the server, that would make things a lot tougher for him to try and stay into this fight, as he will join a quartet of other drivers. It'll pit this second time around, and looks like it'll put Ulysses Sandoval out and into the race lead. We'll see if he stays out here and is going to be the leader, or will we see him and others make the dive onto pit road next time by. I don't think we're going to get the lights out on the paced car. No, we're going to get at least one more lap of pacing here before we get the indication of 1 lap to green. Mention about this Thursday night, going to be a pretty packed house in the FRN commentary booth, as we're going to be celebrating the racing career, the full-time racing career of fellow racer and fellow FRN broadcaster Jessica Loralee. She'll be making her last full-time start in the regular season finale in the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series. You'll have yours truly. Kyle will be there along with Michael Norman. We're also going to be welcoming Dylan Young, longtime friend of Jess, into the booth as well. And want to just take the opportunity here, while we have it, of sending out condolences to Dylan Young. Yesterday, we unfortunately got the news that his father passed away, so we're looking forward to having him into the booth, but our thoughts and prayers are definitely with him at this time.
Yeah, I second that. Dylan, a good friend of mine, him and I run a YouTube channel called We the Coasters together, and we've gone to amusement parks and theme parks together over the last 5 or so years, and actually went down to Florida back at the end of July, beginning of August. I stayed at his house during some of that time and happened to meet his dad. It was really nice to meet. Let me stay at their house for a little bit. So, yeah, this hits hard for a lot of us here. So I second that. Sending thoughts and prayers to Dylan and his family right now.
We're looking forward to having him joining us in the booth this Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Regular season finale for the Talladega Challenge Series 66th season, and right on cue, everybody is coming down here, so everybody sees that number 29 on the lap counter and are realizing that, hey, one more pit stop from here to get to the conclusion of this race.
See, this is where I would struggle in a race like this. If you have to do math, and that's never been my strong suit. So more power to everybody on the track for being able to figure that out.
It's easier for me to do it here in the booth because I don't have the stress of having to be out there racing double 3 wide. You put extra little bit on my plate? No thanks.
As if it wasn't hard enough alone, and you got to worry about that as well.
So we saw under the last yellow, Perry Bone ended up staying out to be the race leader. He'll do so again for this upcoming restart. Chuck Taylor is going to join him on the front row. Rod Weston will be third, and then first of the cars off pit road after the top off. Ulysses Sandoval will be fourth. Ken Roberts fifth. Looks like Gary Heiser, Jessica Loralee, Brian Ross, and Jeffrey Elliott and Bob Sire are going to be the top 10. Now, I thought that there were 2 lucky dogs per caution. There may actually only be 1. Robert Spring, saw him go around, get his lap back. The 80 of Ed Finley, he is still back there at the tail end of the field. He has not gotten around to get a lap back himself. Or no, actually he has. It may have happened when I wasn't looking. Okay, so never mind. Both drivers did get their laps back. So our 16 remaining drivers will all be on the lead lap here for this upcoming restart. If we go green from here to the finish, these drivers, they will be targeting lap 49. If they can get to lap 48, lap 49, they can come down pit road, fill it full of fuel, and they can make it the rest of the way.
You see Chuck Taylor going to restart on the outside of row number 1, keeping track of bonus points and everything that him and the 6 of Brian Rawson are looking at. You know, there really hasn't been a dominant car yet determined tonight. We've had a lot of different lead changes, a lot of different leaders, so that bonus point's still up for grabs.
Only driver so far that has led double-digit laps this evening would be Jessica Loralee, who was the leader just prior to that caution coming out, has been out in front for 10 circuits. Next highest after that, 3 laps.
Looks like Chuck Taylor's going to get the lead for the time being. Here comes Ulysses Sandoval in the middle groove.
Brian Rawson going to lead that third line there. Hoping that his connection stays, and he's got some help up there in the form of Jeffrey Elliott, John Godfrey. Mark Pagley is up there as well. Rod Weston car is still looking pretty sporty after we saw him spun around his most recent caution over in 3 and 4. Holding down the third position, but he might find himself on the bottom of 3 wide situation if Roberts and Rawson are able to get runs.
Love the paint scheme on that 31. I mean, yeah, it's mellow yellow, but very interesting. You got the current logo on the front, and then you have the classic logo, like the classic look on the very back there. So a very unique paint scheme.
And if I'm not mistaken, I was going to say it looks like the Red Bull font, but now I'm not so sure.
Hard to tell right here with the number font here if we get a better look at it, but oh boy, the 60 car got out of shape a little bit there.
Looks like it could be the Red Bull font. Whoa! Chuck Taylor. Bit of a block there on the 94. We're 4 wide, 2 rows deep. They settle it out to 3, but woo, scary situation there for a couple of drivers up at the front.
Yeah, that's a great save there from Jessica. That could have been, yeah, that could have been huge right there. One of the championship contenders, and you know, the driver that's led the most laps in this race so far. So yeah, great job by both of them.
Gary Heiser had a good save as well. Not easy when your car is down there on the apron in the entry of a corner, and everybody else did a great job of letting those cars back up too. As I said, we were 4 wide, 2 rows deep. By the time we got out of turn 2, we had been able to settle it back to 3 wide. It's not easy to choreograph something like that when you're boogieing at over 190 miles per hour. Oh, and Taylor's going to throw a block on Jeffrey Elliott, and this time he's going to pay the price for it. And so are many, many others. Weston, Perry Bond, John Godfrey, I think maybe stuck in the outside wall. Ulysses Sandoval, Gary Heiser involved as well. One block too many for the 18.
That's a lot of damage on the back of that 18 car as well.
Got a near catastrophic block just the lap prior on the 94. This time tries to throw the block on the 56 of Jeffrey Elliott, and it looked like it live, and I think we'll see when we go back for the replay as well. He was already to the left rear quarter panel. There was no way that was going to end without contact.
No, the back end of Jeffrey Elliott's car is all torn up.
Take a look at it here. We're going to go all the way back to the start-finish line. Watch the run that Jeffrey Elliott is able to get with a push from Gary Heiser as they make their way into 1 and 2. See Chuck Taylor, he moves up to try and block that outside line, and by the time he comes back to the bottom, the 56 is already there.
That was a very aggressive block too by the 18. I'm really surprised by that. Him being, you know, in contention for this championship, throwing a block like that still fairly early in this race.
Especially when you already know that the 6 is fighting connection gremlins.
Yeah, that's another point.
Watch top of your screen.
Well, we saw that great save that Jessica Lorley made the previous lap, and she just barely got by that lap. Just barely got by that crash right there on the next lap.
Yeah, a few drivers up there on that outside line were just able to skirt through. Brian Rawson being another of those. He was just ahead of the 94. So if we watch this again from the 18, he's in the middle line as they enter into the corner. And then right here, it's just too late to throw a block from 1.5 grooves above where the 56 is at. And you saw Jeffrey Elliott too. He had a massive run And you saw him moving down to the apron to try and give space, but when you're in the center of the corner, there's not much lower you can really go, because if Jeffrey goes any lower than that, he then clips the apron, pushes up into the field. So it's a tough situation for him, and just a misjudgment there on the part of Chuck Taylor. And now you gotta wonder, if you're Brian Rawson, does this put you in the catbird seat? Because that 18, just saw him coming off of pit road, and he's got some pretty good back end damage. I mean, we probably, until we go green, aren't going to know the full extent of the damage on one of our championship two.
I'd be feeling pretty good right now if I was him. Of course, that being under caution, but like you said, we don't know for sure if the 18 is going to be up to speed or not.
We're going to get ourselves a restart with less than 30 to go. A couple of drivers out of the race after this one. That was a multi-car pile-up. Several drivers up and into the air. John Godfrey's going to be credited with 16th. Jeffrey Elliott, 15th place.
That's about half the field involved in that wreck.
Yeah. Everybody else is going to continue on here, but one would certainly have to have some question marks about the 3, the 18, maybe even to some extent the 96 of Ulysses Sandoval. Just how much damage did those drivers get in that wreck? Is Bob Sire now going to come down pit road along with a number of others? We can't make it on fuel. We aren't at that window yet. That won't be for another 9-10 laps. The only thing I can think of why we'd be coming down pit road right now is this would at least extend the window. The furthest we could go would be around lap 55. If we could get to maybe making a pit stop on lap 56, then you wouldn't have to take a can and a half fuel. You'd only have to take a can. So that might be why a lot of these drivers are topping off.
Never a bad idea to top off anytime you get a chance. And look at the 80 of Ed Finley here. Here not too long ago, he was about to go a lap down, caught a lucky caution, and stayed on the lead lap, and now he's leading.
Yeah, you can clearly see sporting roof damage after he was up and over barrel rolling on the inside of the back straightaway that brought out our second caution of the night. That car obviously dealing with aero damage, had difficulty staying up in the lead pack on that last green flag run, but kind of making the best out of a bad situation as he's going to get himself another lap lead. He had a previous lap lead earlier in the race. So this will be his second, and if he stays out, third laps lead here tonight. Looks like Mark Paglia in the 28. Looks like he's retired from the race. I didn't have an official retiree indicator on my scoring pylon, but it looks like he has left the team speak. So Paglia is going to get credited for 14th place here tonight. It's going to leave us with 13 drivers running, all 13 on the lead lap. We didn't have any need for a lucky dog under this caution. As looks like Ed Finley indicating he's going to be coming to pit road here. Brian Rawson is going to stay out. So while a lot of drivers are coming down here topping off the fuel tank under the second and third laps of pacing, he's going to now go for the track position. Is this circumstances changing based off the 18 being involved in that wreck? Now maybe whatever strategy we had prior to that caution, maybe we've got an entirely different strategy now based off the past circumstances?
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, you know, Rawson's aware that the 18 was involved in that wreck, but so I think he's got to be feeling pretty good right now. But I'm sure the internet connection issues he's been having is also in the back of his mind. So, like I said, it's never easy to win a championship in this situation.
Throw in the unpredictability of Superspeedway racing as well. Brian Rawson going to be leading us back to green. The top 5 stay out. The rest of the field topped off. So Ken Roberts will line up in second. Brian Wolf third. Brad Otto going to be 4th, and Bob Sire will complete the top 5. Looks like Jessica Lorley won the battle off pit road, so she'll restart 6th. Ulysses Sandoval 7th, Gary Heiser in 8th. Perry Bond looks like he'll be 9th, and Ed Finley, I believe, is going to be 10th. Either Ed or Rod Weston. Looks like they're trying to settle that out back there as they get ready to catch the field, double up for the upcoming restarts. Rod Weston currently holds the fastest lap of the night, 48.006, equating to 199.282 miles per hour. Lap leaders here tonight, and there's been a ton of them. Actually, it'd be easier to name off the drivers that haven't led a lap tonight than those that have. Jessica Lorley, most laps led at 10. 5 laps led for Chuck Taylor. 3 laps led by Ken Roberts. 2 apiece so far by Brian Rawson, Brad Otto, Gary Heiser, Ed Finley, John Godfrey, and Jeffrey Elliott. And then 1 lap led currently for Bob Sire. The only drivers that have not led laps here tonight of those that are still on the racetrack would be Robert Spring and Brian Wolf.
Second issue for the 31. I saw him drop back to the rear of the field.
I also saw a little bit of tire smoke back there in the tri-oval, so I don't know if he had a gearing issue there or not. Looks like he's good to go here for the restart. He's able to stay here with this group.
Maybe it was him that didn't get going here a couple of restarts that we were talking about.
Oh, maybe, yeah. Brian Rawson up here at the front, keeping an eye on him, also keeping an eye on Chuck Taylor towards the back. And it does not look like a good sign for that number 18 as he is rapidly losing ground to this lead group. Robert Spring there trying to offer what assistance he can, but he's also damaged and off the pace. So now Chuck Taylor no longer can go on the offense. Now the only thing he can hope is that the 6 runs into issues between now and the checkered flag, and Brian Wolf just blew up from the lead.
Wow.
Caution's going to come out. It's Sandoval. Perry Bond upside down. Gary Heiser in the 3 as well. Well, I mentioned about the fact before we went green that Brian Wolf hadn't yet led a lap. He just led the previous lap and then proceeded to have the engine expire as he exited out of 2.
Yeah, the engine expired on the leader. And boy, that's
See a let go right there. Brian does what he can to get down to the inside. It's like Ulysses Sandoval let off, got a bump from behind by Jessica Lorley, and that sends them up into the path of the 3 and the 60. I mean, when you're a racer at a super speedway, you try to prepare for every scenario. That's one of the toughest to prepare for.
Now those random engine failures.
And one of the
Had
reasons
that happen to me a couple of times, but never at the very front of the field, thankfully.
Well, one of the reasons, too, why it can cause such an issue is a lot of drivers have the option of being able to have smoke turned on or smoke turned off. A lot of them find it easier to get through a wreck when you don't have the smoke blinding your view. Well, when you turn smoke off to not see it when drivers are wrecking, you also don't see the smoke coming out from behind a car that has had an engine blow up. So all of a sudden, car in front of you starts slowing at a rapid pace and you don't know what's going on. So It can make for a confusing situation for drivers depending on whether they're able to see that smoke or not.
That's definitely a double-edged sword.
Wild ride for the 60 of Perry Bond, as we'll show again. The caution more than likely would have come out anyway for debris, with the 29 being up on the racing surface when the engine let go. Perry up and over, and then watch this on board here. We saw him a long ways back, damaged off the pace. The 18 of Chuck Taylor, watch as this happens in front of him. We saw the 3 of Gary Heiser as well. I believe the car up ahead was the 47 of Brad Otto, so he would have gotten a piece as well along with the 3. It's like the diagnosis on the 29 of Brian Wolf, an engine valve letting go. So Brian is going to finish 13th here tonight. Not sure. I don't think. Well, I was going to say, I don't think his third in points is up for contest, but then looking at the standings coming into tonight, he only was up by 6 points on Brad Otto, and Brad is still running. So if Brad is able to finish, just doing the quick math, if he can finish 7th or higher, then Brad Otto, I believe, would finish 3rd in the final season standings. If he finishes 8th or lower, then Brian Wolf should be able to hang on to that final podium spot in the final standings of Season 2. Gary Heiser is also retired from the race. He's going to get credited for the 12th position. Those 2 drivers joining Mark Paglia, Jeffrey Elliott, John Godfrey, DC88, and Dinger in the garage area.
That list is really building up here. Didn't expect attrition to be this high tonight.
Yeah, the field is definitely thinning out. We've only got 11 cars running right now. At least half of those drivers are dealing with some kind of damage, including the 18, the 80, the 47, and the 74. So right now, it looks like we'd be looking at maybe about a half dozen drivers that will still be up to speed. One of those drivers is the 6 of Brian Rawson, who right now is scored in 2nd place, as Bob Sire, the current race leader. Chuck Taylor right now scored in the 5th position, but as we saw on that previous restart, that car is damaged and off the pace, so he's going to need a lot of help. And here's the thing, too, for Chuck Taylor is with more and more drivers retiring out of the race, that means that is a higher possible finishing position with a DNF for Brian Rawson. Before we ended up having those last couple of yellows, the worst that Brian Rawson could finish was 16th. Now, the worst he could finish is 11th. 5-point swing can be huge if the 6 runs into any trouble between now and the end of the race.
That's another factor that I don't think a lot of people are expecting to come into play, but we'll see how this goes.
See a bunch of drivers coming down pit road. I still think we are south of the window to make it. About maybe 3-4 laps short of that number. Of course, as well, I think this would now put us into the category where if we ran the entire distance on what we can on fuel, you could come down pit road, that final pit stop, and only have to take on, I believe, maybe a half can. Let me double check. Yeah, oh yeah, you'd be able to easily take on a half can.
everybody that pitted right now, I was just told it's recommending a half can.
Yep. It has been an interesting championship night here for our two drivers that came into this evening looking to be crowned second ever champion here in the ASR Superspeedway Series. Ryan Rawson dealing with some connection issues in the first 20-25 laps of this race. That has appeared to settle out. Chuck Taylor, while battling for the race lead, throws a block on Jeffrey Elliott, collected up in that wreck and is dealing with damage. He is currently off the pace. And we now wait to see what these final 20 or so laps are going to have in store. How much more into the championship battle is Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway going to play a part?
I bet neither of the championship contenders imagined how eventful it would be for both of them tonight.
It's been an unpredictable season. It's proven to be just as unpredictable here this evening with that championship hanging in the balance. Bob Sire is going to get us back under green. Rawson will line up to his outside. Ken Roberts will be third. Brad Otto fourth. Ed Finley in fifth. Perry Bond sixth. Ulysses Sandoval will be seventh with Chuck Taylor eighth. Jessica Loreley ninth. 10th Rod Weston. And the final car in the field here will be Robert Spring. All 11 remaining drivers on the lead lap. As we get ready to go back green flag racing once again, there will be 22 laps to go, about 2-3 laps shy of being able to make the scheduled distance on fuel. Sire and Roberts will move from the bottom up to the middle line. Looking to tow Brian Rawson along with them, get him clear of Ed Finley. Finley now moves up in front of Brad Otto, leaves the door open on the bottom for Ulysses Sandoval. Another thing that we don't talk an awful lot about at super speedways, but energy, the ability to be able to generate the runs, to be able to make moves. A lot easier to do it when you have a big pack of race cars. With us down to a bit of a skeleton field right now, it's going to make it a lot tougher for drivers third place on back to be able to generate those runs, to make those moves to get up to the front of the field.
And it looks like everybody's going to go single file right now too, so we see once again the 18 car having a hard time keeping up with this lead pack.
Yeah, he's currently at around 185, a steady 185, and that's with drafting help going into the corner. We saw drivers hitting 195 while up to speed in the lead group, so he is at a major deficit right now. Is Chuck Taylor. The only driver that can help keep him in this championship would be Brian Rawson himself. For Brian Rawson now, we saw him kind of working the second lane, working the third lane, trying to get up to the front of the field. Now I think you settle into big picture racing. You just try to bring that car home in one piece.
Exactly. I would just stay put for the rest of this race if I was him.
Third place will earn you the championship just as easily as a race victory. And Brian Rawson came into this one as the points leader. He's in the catbird seat with less than 20 to go.
He could even afford to have, his internet continue to bother him at this point. I mean, as long as he doesn't fall out of the server.
The only other thing he would definitely have to worry about is executing on pit road, because we know that these drivers cannot make it the rest of the way. If we remain green, pit road is going to play a part. And the last thing you want to do with the situation currently as is, if you're Brian Rawson, is speed on pit road, have to serve a pass through, and maybe, just maybe, lose the championship to the 18 that way.
Yeah, you're not going to see any hot pitting strategy from that 6 car. I can't imagine. And the stakes are way too high at this point.
Looks like 7 drivers going to be up in this lead pack. Rod Weston has lost touch with this group. Perry Bond has done the same. Chuck Taylor, Robert Spring off the pace. Pretty impressed right now with the 2 Wolfpack cars here. We saw them actually fall a lap down earlier on in this race when we had that longer green flag run. We know the 80's got the roof damage. We know the 47's got the back end damage, but it looks like as long as they're in the draft, they're good to go. I don't think these would be cars that could lead a line to the front, though, so they're relying on the drivers behind them staying with them to keep them at least up here in the conversation, maybe for a top 5.
That's really impressive for that 80 car, especially. You mentioned the roof damage that car got. Still be running up here in the lead pack.
Of course, for Brad Otto in that 5th position, currently he would find himself finishing out the season 3rd in the overall standings, just ahead of Brian Wolf, who's out of the race due to a mechanical failure. As Bob Sire continues to lead. So far here this season, we have had multiple drivers go to victory lane. Bob Sire is not on that list, looking for his first victory on the season. He's done a good job of keeping himself out of trouble tonight. And this next time by, he will end up getting the bonus point for most laps led. Between his soon-to-be 11 laps led, Jessica Laura Lee's 10 previous laps led, that takes the bonus point for most laps led out of the conversation for either the 6 or the 18. So now, with them both negating each other with the lap led bonus point, it all comes down to finishing position. And right now, Rawson is in 3rd, Taylor is back in 9th.
Looks like Ulysses trying to make a move on the Wolfpack cars here. Thought Jessica was going to go with him there, but... Okay, now she does.
Two cars in the bottom against 5 on the top is a tall ask. Doesn't look like it's going to pay off this time, at least out of turn 4 and through the tri-oval, as Bob Sire continues to show the way. Now, the one thing here for Bob Sire is he's getting some laps led. He's currently leading the most laps, but he's also using up the most fuel. One would have to wonder, I don't think this is the case, but one would have to wonder with, as we heard, most of the leaders, when they came down pit road, they were at being able to take on a half can. How close to that number were we? If we were around, say, 5 laps short, with Bob Sire leading this race, if he ends up going to 6 laps short, he's got to take on a can, while everybody else behind him would only have to take on a half can.
Yeah, and I know that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but that's a lot of time on pit road at this stage in the race, so... Yeah, it looks good leading right now, but, you know, using up more fuel than anybody else, you're putting yourself at a big disadvantage right now.
Yeah, if we were about maybe 3 laps shy of making it when they all topped off, I'd say even being out in front, I think he's going to still be within that half can range, but it's going to be interesting to see here, especially if we end up making that final pit stop under green flag conditions. One would certainly have to wonder, too, with us having a pack of 7 up here, do they all come to pit road together, or do they break off into little groups here during the course of 2 or 3 laps?
Well, there's probably some deal making going on amongst some of the cars up here.
Garage area continues to pile up. We can now add the name of Perry Bond to that list. Engine gearbox, so some mechanical problem happening with that number 60 within the last few laps. He's going to get credited for the 11th position. That leaves us with 10 drivers running. And I just barely saw them up ahead. The field was coming out of turn number 2. Making their way through the center of 3 and 4 was the duo of Robert Spring and Chuck Taylor. More than half a lap down right now is the 18. 74 is still with him, but it is not looking good for Chuck Taylor and his hopes of winning the title here tonight, as Rawson still up in this lead group in the 3rd position. We're getting to the point here as well where if the 18 goes a lap down and we start getting into the single-digit laps to go, that's not going to be enough caution, or not going to be enough laps, even if we have a caution, to be able to mount a comeback. The only way they think that Chuck Taylor would have a chance is if that possible future caution involved the 6.
They're getting racy here at the back of this pack here. Once again, Ulysses and Jessica trying to get by the Wolfpack cars, it looks like.
You see some distances opened up from Rawson and back to Ed Finley, so maybe that ability to be able to suck up to the back of the Budweiser Chevrolet is going away. That aero damage coming into play now for the 4th place driver. Now you see them being able to draw back up a little bit. The big problem for the Wolfpack cars, if we have that green flag pit stop as well, is usually when you end up making a pit stop under green, you don't always come out right behind the drivers that you pit with. There's normally a bit of separation, whether it be 2 or 3 car lengths, sometimes 5 or 6, and then you hope that the driver ahead of you bails out of the throttle a little bit, drags the brake to be able to tow you along so you can form back up. Even a 2 or 3 car length gap with anybody for the 80 or the 47, they're not going to be able to have cars strong enough to be able to draft back up. So I think for those 2 drivers, they are going to need a caution to come out here at some point since we've crossed into the window to make it. That way they can restart up with the lead pack, don't have to rely on a good launch off of pit road under green flag conditions.
Coming up on, looks like the 47 and the 18.
And Chuck Taylor may be seeing that championship slip away, as there goes Brian Rawson on the lead lap. Chuck Taylor going to go a lap down. Rod Weston just up ahead of this group as well. He's about to fall off the lead lap also.
It's a helpless feeling if you're Chuck Taylor right now, seeing your championship rival just blow right on past you in the lead pack, and you're having trouble keeping up.
He had a great strategy going on in the early going of this race. We saw him stay out under caution, snipe that lap-led bonus point, try to keep his car up front all night long. Errant Block sent him up the racetrack, careening into other drivers, and since then, he has been dealing with extensive damage. I would hazard to say not only aero damage, maybe some engine damage on that 18, as he's just trying to salvage out the night. Now, one thing he knows for sure is he will at least finish 2nd place in the overall standings. Nobody was mathematically eligible to get the points lead or 2nd place here tonight outside of the 6 and the 18, so he is guaranteed to finish no worse than 2nd here this season. Couple that with a victory here in these 8 races. It's been a great overall season for him. He gave it his all here tonight. Maybe just gave a little too much, as I believe the 27 is coming to pit road.
Yep, I was just ready to say that. Saw the chat box light up there. And the 2 Wolfpack cars as well.
Ooh, near contact. I think there was contact between himself and Ed Finley coming to pit lane. Brad Otto gonna pit as well. And that will leave a quartet out here with Roberts, Rawson, Sandoval, and Loralee. We'll see how long they go before they dive to pit lane. So those drivers that just pit, they have to take on a can of fuel. They are not within the window to be able to make it on a half can. Half can would only get you 5 laps.
Now we mentioned the 27 being at a huge disadvantage leading the field, using up more fuel than everybody else, and this is why.
We mentioned about the parity this season, the multiple different drivers that have gone to victory lane. Right now in this group, 50% of these drivers are looking for their first win of the season. That'd be the leader Ken Roberts, third place Ulysses Sandoval. Both Rawson and Lauralee have formally gone to victory lane this season. Lauralee, of course, last week. And when do we see them pits going to be the question? I would assume we're going to more than likely stay out this lap. We may be on pit road the following lap. We'd be within that window to take on a half a can at that point. And we'd also be making this pit stop because we have lap machines in the point of the race that we dubbed the point of no return. So if ever there was a money stop, it's definitely coming up.
Oh, yeah. Lauralee got by Sandoval.
Looks like Finley, Otto, and Sire managed to get off of pit road, and they are still on the tail end of the lead lap. Saw the chat light up. We might be having these four come to pit road this time by. Looks like that's the case.
And here they come.
All four going to get onto pit road safely here. Get it woed up to 55 miles per hour. Now it's going to be the question, will they all leave with each other?
Sure, everybody's on the same strategy here. Just probably a splash at this point.
Rawson nails his pit stop. So too does Roberts. Lauralee as well. Looks like nobody overshot their stalls. So far so good.
It's like Lauralee won the race off pit road.
Down and away for the 094. Rawson behind her. Then Sandoval and Roberts. That seemed a little bit...
And I was just told Jessica has a black flag.
Oh. I thought maybe she went with a splash there because that seemed a little short for a half can, but tough break for last week's winner. Black flag here on the money stop as we'll be coming around to 3 laps to go, so that would put Brian Rawson into the race lead. Look how far back Ulysses Sandoval is. Can he draft up to the 6? And then look how much even further back is Ken Roberts. I don't know where he lost his time. I mean, all these drivers looked like they were pretty good getting onto pit road and getting off of pit road, unless the 55 took a can.
Wow, I did not expect, these guys to be that spread out.
Back when they ran the Aero 88s at Superspeedways, weren't they actually spread out like this, or did they actually draft in a pack at that point?
I always thought they drafted in a pack. I don't remember them being this spread out after a green flag stop. But Ulysses looks like it's going to close in here on Rawson, and he's going to try to make a move for the lead, but Rawson's going to slam the door on him.
Going to jump to the outside line here on the 6. Going to take the long ways around. Not sure that's going to work without drafting help. As they'll make their way out of turn 4, still side by side. Sandoval still hanging tough.
Trying to get a non-existent side draft here, but
2 laps to go. Sandoval make that outside line work all by his lonesome. He's going to lose ground here to the inside through the entry of the corner. Can he draw it back down the backstretch? No. Rawson clear. If you're Brian Rawson, I think you're just guarding the bottom. The 96 wants to go up to the top side. Let him take the shorter way around the track.
that seems to be working right now. Ulysses trying everything he can, goes way to the outside, right up near the wall, trying to build up some momentum.
Yeah, I think he's trying to your point, trying to build. Whoa. Okay, for a moment I thought the 6 might be coming to pit road here, and I was thinking I didn't see him get a black flag, but he's just hugging the inside line as best he can. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go here tonight You didn't have to win the race to win the championship, but Rawson is trying to do both.
Can Ulysses build up another run here on this last lap? Let's see. He's there, going to the outside once again.
I can't believe I'm saying the term IndyCarring at a super speedway, but that's kind of what we're seeing here. Rawson's trying to break that draft of Ulysses Sandoval down the back straightaway. Ulysses just can't quite get to that right rear quarter panel.
A little bit. I think they touched a little bit there. Here they come.
He's going to try it again here. Can he get the run through the tri-oval? Making a little contact. He'll get up to the door number, but I don't think he's got enough racetrack. Brian Rawson, by a little less than half a car length, is going to pick up the victory tonight, his second of the season, and claims the Season 2 ASR Super Speedway Championship.
What better way to end the season than walk out of here with both trophies?
Absolutely, and it'll be interesting to ask him if in the first half of this race, with the connection gremlins we saw him have, if he thought that this was going to be the end result tonight. Only 2 cars side by side coming around to the checkers, but it was 38 1/1000ths of a second the difference between those two. Rawson over Sandoval. Ken Roberts is going to finish out the podium here tonight. And let's not forget, Brian Rawson came into tonight the points leader, started this race dead last.
Oh, yeah.
Celebration begins for Brian Rawson here tonight under the lights at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Second victory of his now championship series in the ASR Super Speedway Series. We'll be talking to him down in Victory Lane, as well as the rest of our podium finishers here in just a moment. We'll now show you the finishing results from tonight's season finale. We mentioned the top 3. Bob Sire is going to bring it home in 4th. Brad Otto in 5th. Ed Finley 6th. Jessica Lorley with that late race penalty going to finish last car in the lead lap in 7th. Chuck Taylor going to finish 2nd in the overall point standings this season, as he'll bring it home first car 1 lap down in 8th. Robert Spring was 9th, and Rod Weston, last driver to finish, in the 10th position. Rest of these drivers finished behind the wall, some due to mechanical failure, some due to crash damage. Perry Bond will finish in 11th, Gary Heiser in 12th, 13th for Brian Wolf, Mark Paglia 14th, Jeffrey Elliott was 16th, John Godfrey in 16th, 17th place, DC88, and Dinger brings it home in the 18th position. That's going to take us into our FRN post-race wind-down. Time to dial up some drivers. Let's see if we can hold of the 3rd place finisher here tonight, Ken Roberts.
User was moved to your
Hey,
channel.
Ken, the guys up here in the FRN booth. You got a copy?
10-4.
Crazy race here tonight. Race of attrition at the end of the night. A race of strategy. We saw you end up being the leader of that group of 4 when you guys made your final pit stop, but we saw you come out 4th of the drivers after that. It looked like everybody of your group came down pit road safely, got into their stalls safely. What was it that lost you time there?
Right as I hit pit road, it switched to 1 can. So, yeah, I got left behind.
I was wondering about the possibility of you taking on a can of fuel there at that point in time. Obviously, we ended up seeing a number of drivers out of the race, not many drivers up in that lead pack as you guys approached that final trip to pit road. Did that make things difficult in terms of trying to generate runs to try and make moves? Or at that point, was everybody just kind of in ride mode for the impending pit stops?
Yeah, basically, we's all pretty much riding. I know Pumpkin was in front of me, and he told me he was on a different pit schedule, so he was going to pit earlier. but I seen there was 2 or 3 of them going with him, and then I seen there was 4 of us. So I liked our chances, the 4 of us staying together. But yeah, just worked out. Got ended up third, but yeah, it's a good race overall. A lot of cautions, but championship races sometimes they're that way.
I'm being told in our chat by David Shin, no repeat winners this season. Obviously, only 2 drivers were mathematically battling for the championship here tonight. So, in preparation for this race and during the course of tonight's events, what was the mentality for you? Was it coming in tonight just doing everything you could, maybe playing a little bit of alternative strategy to get the checkered flag?
Yeah, I mean, I've been close a couple times, but yeah, I haven't gotten a win. So I was really hoping to get one tonight, but yeah, maybe next season.
Well, Ken, congratulations closing out the season on a high note here on the podium and carrying some good momentum into that brand new 3rd season that we understand is going to be starting up in a couple of weeks' time. Before we let you go, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
Yeah, I'd like to thank my teammates, the ones that made it out tonight, and then Bryant Motorsports, who puts all this on, ASR, all the guys at ASR that put all this on for us. It's a fun little Sunday series that we've had a lot of fun with. Just the points are straight up. So it makes it, you got to make every race, and be very consistent. So, and thank my painter, Rodney Solins, for painting me up my Mountain Dew car. So that's about it. Thank you guys for doing the broadcast. Can't wait to watch it later.
Ken Roberts brings it home 3rd place here tonight in the Season 2 finale. Congratulations once again on a great run and best of luck in the upcoming 3rd season.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Looks like we do
User
not
was moved out
have
of
the
your
2nd place
channel.
finisher, Ulysses
Yeah,
Sandoval, available here
that's
for an interview.
that's interesting and surprising, but okay.
So I guess we will skip right down to victory lane and dial up tonight's race winner and champion of the 2nd season of the ASR Superspeedway Series. Let's see if we can get a hold of Brian Rawson.
User was moved to
Hey,
your
Brian, the
channel.
guys up here in the FRN booth. You got a copy?
10-4.
Man, I'll tell you what, a lot of pressure coming into tonight. Only 4 points separation between you and Chuck Taylor at a super speedway of all places. You had to deal with connection problems here tonight. You had that impending pit stop coming up. I can only imagine the range of emotions you had to deal with during the course of this 66 laps.
Oh yeah, man, it was fun. I've been having internet problems for the last 3 days, but that's why I kind of fell back. I didn't want to cause anybody else problems. I'm kind of glad it just all fixed itself. And I want to say, congrats to Chuck, man. He had a good season.
It's interesting because I go back to last week, and we saw you actually put down a qualifying lap. This week, you decided to start at the rear of the field, coming in as the points leader. What made you decide to do that strategy, and what was the initial strategy right out of the gate? Was it more a defensive strategy or more offensive?
Well, you know me, Seth. I'm not really big on the qualifying thing. I like starting in the back, but actually, me and Chuck had kind of an agreement to start in the back and just see who ran up front the fastest.
Well, I mean, obviously, you win the championship here tonight, but you get a dual victory in the sense that you also take the final checkered flag of the season. Had a great battle there with Ulysses, and it was just the 2 of you in the closing stages. I don't think I've ever used the term IndyCarring at a super speedway before, but that's what we saw you doing on these straightaways. Talk about that battle coming here to the line, with it just being the 2 of you. How much did you want it to be race winner and champion tonight?
Oh man, it's always good to win both, and I know there's just 2 cars out there, man. You're just trying to break the draft, just like Indy cars, and and I'm glad he kept it clean. I kept it clean, and it all turned out good, man.
Well, it certainly did, Brian. Congratulations on a job well done, not only here tonight, but during the course of the season. Obviously, you got to be consistent to be able to find yourself in the conversation for a championship here in the Super Speedway Series. You were able to do that. You bring home the victory here tonight. You bring home the championship trophy as well. You'll be going into Season 3 as the defending champion of the series. And we'll let you get back to your celebrating here in a moment. But before we do, we're going to turn the mic over to you for some victory lane and championship. Thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
I definitely want to say thanks to ASR and Brian Wolf for putting this stuff on. It's nice to have a place to race on Sundays. thanks to all the drivers out there. It's a good time, especially thanks to all my teammates for the help. Ken really helped me out tonight. I appreciate that. Thanks to Rodney Solons for all the paint he does and all the help he does for me. And I want to send a special shout out for Dennis McCarthy. He actually didn't make the race. He was on the grid. He lost his father this evening, so I want to send my condolences out for that. And we're thinking of him, and God bless everybody.
We echo those condolences as well. We knew that Dennis wasn't able to make the grid. We didn't know why, but appreciate relaying that information for us. But Brian, congratulations on the victory here tonight, the championship as well. Best of luck in Season 3 as you look to go for back-to-back championships and find victory lane once again. Go and enjoy this victory and this championship here tonight. Well deserved.
Hey, appreciate y'all. Take care, man. God bless.
Brian Rawson parks that
User was moved out of your channel.
legendary Budweiser throwback, number 6 in victory lane. He'll have a victory race trophy to his left and a championship trophy to his right. And we mentioned coming into tonight, Kyle, for the 2 championship drivers, maybe more so was going to have to be big picture racing. He had the connection problems, yes, but aside from that, it really seemed like it's been the mantra not only in this race but the entire season for Brian Rawson, and sometimes that's what you gotta do in a super speedway series with how unpredictable it is.
Yeah, absolutely. He came in here, knowing he had a very slim points lead and just took it easy throughout a lot of the race. Like you mentioned, the connection issues that he was having, and toward the end, the championship kind of fell into his lap, and kind of the same with the race win. So everything went to perfection for him. After all the issues that he had.
I kind of wish I had asked him this, but I'll ask you. What do you think his mentality is going to be now in a couple weeks' time when the green flag flies on the new season? You've already won the championship, so now can you maybe race a little easier knowing you've already been to the top of the mountain, or does that just motivate you more to try and go back-to-back with championships?
I mean, for me personally, I think I would feel a little bit more relaxed, after finally accomplishing the, winning the championship. But everybody here's a competitor. They did it once. Everybody wants to do it again. So we'll have to see how everything plays out for him. But I would say feeling a little less pressure now.
Well, it will certainly be interesting to see what Brian Rawson is able to do, as he is officially the champion here in Season 2 of the ASR Super Speedway Series, picking up the checkered flag here tonight as well in the season finale. Once again, I want to thank Brian Wolf and everybody here at ASR for bringing us on board for the second half, the home stretch of the season, being able to call this championship race here tonight. We will turn the reins back over to our colleagues at Tarnation TV for the start of Season 3. That'll be in 2 weeks' time, starting on November the 9th. We will be back here to cover this series for the second race on November the 16th, so be sure to join us for that one. But looking forward to seeing what these drivers are able to do in the brand new season. Going to be a clean slate, 0 points for everybody, and a lot to gain in a very early season. Thank you all for tuning to our coverage here tonight. Hope that you guys enjoyed it. Again, the next time you will see us, we will be Wednesday night covering the continuation of the 66th season of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Aero 88 series. They will be super speedway racing at American Speedway. Green flag scheduled to fly at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Couple of other broadcasts could be taking place Thursday and Saturday as well. We'll see you for those. For Kyle Matthews, I'm Seth Cole. Thanks for joining us on this Sunday evening. We'll see you next time as you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of FRN, the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.